at the moment. So we'll just give everybody a chance to get in. There's a few more still coming in. And what I would say to you, anyone that's watching in at the moment, is go grab a pen and paper, have a pen and paper ready. We'll be using the chat. Oh, there's Sue. She's in now, or she's coming now. I see her. We'll be using the chat as well for questions. So if you have any questions, I have a list of questions here that people have already sent on to me that can't make it. So there might be double up the questions or whatever. We'll see how it goes. But before we start, let's put it into the chat. Let us know where you're watching in from. What part of the world are you? Are you in Ireland? Are you in Dublin? And what is the weather like? Because, well, I'm actually roasting. The heating is awful blast here at the moment. Okay, so let me see. Right, 36 of you here. That's not bad actually for a Monday night. Jesus, they're still coming. Give me a second. I can't. I can't double job. I can't talk and admit them all at the same time.
And I can't do anything.
And if I try, I'll get it wrong. So
I'll end up locking them all out if I start pushing buttons. Last Thursday we had just a little private Zoom with the Bloom Studio students, and we were just discussing intrigue and a few kind of behind the scenes things. But Deirdre was getting her hair done, so she had all her hair all in the highlights or in the silver tin foils, all on camera. But it was just kind of like, as we say, what happens in the Zoom stays in the Zoom. But I was mostly doing it, but when it was finished, I didn't know how to turn it off. And Deirdre's hairdresser was saying, if I don't take out these tin foils, your hair is going to fall out.
Oh Lord. Okay, I see Sue's just still trying to get in. She's getting there. She's getting there. Okay. Anyway, Jesus.
Anyone that's joining in there, introduce yourself in the chats, and again, feel free to put as many questions as you can. We are going to answer every question that's put up tonight.
Okay, I have it on record. We are recording, so if you do have to drop off at any stage or something happens with your Wi-Fi, I will get it into an email, either to maybe not tomorrow, but definitely not by Wednesday. I'll get it into an email to record out to you guys. So anyway, listen, thanks a million to everybody. There's a big crowd of you here this evening, and I see we have a good few of our oldies. And when we say oldies, we don't mean oldies by age. We mean oldies by being with us for a long, long time. A good few of you here. Absolutely delighted to have you here. Tonight we've not just a panel of experts that we've asked to come, but we also have other experts here that I can see already. So we will be jumping on people for, a bit of advice on something. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you to, we have Viv Bradford, the Floristry Geek. If you're not following the Floristry Geek over on Facebook to join her group, make sure you do, but answer the questions because she's real strict and she can get cranky if you don't answer the questions and she won't let you in. The door is closed. So we have Viv. We have Sue Whale is here. So Sue Whale is the author of the Cut Flower book. Any of you that have trained with us will know the Cut Flower book very well, and will have known Sue from being in and out of the bloom rooms and chatting with you as well. And we have a newbie here tonight. We have Jean Slattery O'Gorman. And Jean is a tutor from the ETB in Tipperary and in Rosscray. So she's coming with a huge amount of knowledge. Jean grew up with flowers, so she started with her mummy in the garden centres and growing roses and all of that sort of stuff. So she is coming from a huge amount of experience, and she still also runs her own business with flowers as well, doing weddings and events and workshops and stuff like that. So delighted to have you all here. Viv, okay, give us a little bit of to start us off with, right, we're here to talk about Christmas. What is your one piece of advice for any florist, whether starting out or whether they're in it a long time? What's the first thing that you want people to know?
Christmas is all about prep. So you've got to be really on it. Your recipes have got to be done. You've got to look at ways of saving money because it's expensive at peak. So do you need to buy glittered gyp, or can you do it yourself cheaper? Do you need to buy sprayed twigs, or have you got a can of spray that will just spray plain twigs? So all those little things you can get ahead of and prep for it. And then however busy you are, get your wrappings done, get them in a bin bag. You can then fit in a few more orders, and those few more orders end up being pure profit that way.
Amazing, great advice. And Sue, so again, coming from your background, because you have worked in retail, you still do sometimes help out in
Yeah.
retail. Tell us from your perspective, what do you think Christmas is? What's the most important thing?
Well, I agree with Viv that prep is extremely important, and planning, and also getting your staffing right is important, and making sure that you've got enough people to cover not just the makeup but the shop and deliveries, and that you don't overstretch yourself. Keep notes. I know Viv says this as well. Keep notes about everything. Make a little diary at the end of every day and write down what time you came in, how many staff came in, did everybody end up having their lunch at 3 o'clock because it was so busy? Do you need, so that you can look, do you think you'll remember it, won't you? But you won't. So make notes, make sure you're looking after your staff, and then next year that will help you plan.
Great advice. And Jean, what's your top tip for us?
Well, I was definitely going to say the notes. It is vital, because when you reopen your book in October and you start planning for Christmas, you've totally forgotten everything that has happened. And you'll say, you might be ordering new stuff and you'd say, "What? Don't order that. I didn't sell it last year." But of course, mine would definitely be foraging, because I'm a real forager. I was up the mountain today and I found the most glorious things. But not everybody has the time to do that. But it definitely does help if you can forage.
Excellent.
Do.
Great advice. I know for us here at the school is writing down into the back of the diary what you still have left, that you don't reorder a bag of pine cones knowing that you already have 2 bags up in the attic that you didn't use, or rolls of red ribbon. And that would be one thing we would do a lot of, is making, before we put stuff away, we list everything, that we sort of have an idea of what we have. Selena's asking, where's best to go foraging, Jean? Where's your secret spot?
You will never tell. I have a secret stat, and trust me, nobody knows. But also make friends with your neighbors. In a lot of cases, all you have to do is ask. They may say no, but they may say, what I would always say to my students is, look, if you see a nice garden and you just call in and say, if I could get some foliage, and how about I make you a table arrangement for Christmas? And people are delighted with that too. Just don't get caught.
Put the day glow jacket on. I can see Viv is squirming in her seat at the moment.
You know exactly what I'm thinking, don't you?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Because it's against the law in England for commercial. So that's why they're again, as you say, just be careful, guys. Keep the day glow jacket on. But if you are selling on large scales, you're probably best buying in and accounting for it. And even I think if you forage, you should be accounting for it as well. Like costing it up.
It's also worth being friends with a local tree surgeon, because a tree surgeon can get you anything. And for them, it's rubbish. They've got to get rid of it. So I've just had a tree surgeon come this week, and he's dropped me mixed conifers, eucalyptus, holly, ivy, all on my drive for the cost of a bouquet.
That's really good advice. So find out. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta love a tree surgeon.
So we all need to go find tree surgeons around. And actually, I think it was Leonie, I think, had it up on her socials today, where she goes to the Christmas tree farm and where all the offcuts of the Christmas trees. So, and I'm sure she probably gives them something for nothing as well. But that's also a good advice. I remember with us, and up in Rathfarnham, the scouts selling the Christmas trees, and they used to tell us that the little old lady would come and she'd pick the biggest Christmas tree and then ask for the bottom of it to be cut off, and then they had all this waste, and they're only delighted to get rid of it. So do definitely check out those places. If you have questions, guys, Janette, I'm going to ask you to keep an eye in the chat for the questions, will you? That if there is any questions coming in, I'm going to go from the questions that I have here. And as I said, I had a lot of questions coming in. But if you have questions, guys, please do. Okay. This one, I'm going to ask Jean. Okay, what is the single most important piece of advice with batch processing and batch preparation coming up to Christmas? What's the most important thing you would tell somebody?
When you think you have enough, you don't. I really think that, because you think to yourself, I'm fine, I have enough. But then when you run out is probably when you're at your tiredest. Do you know what I mean? So it's near the end, you're too exhausted for that. A wired pine cone is not going to go to waste. you will use it again. So prep. And if you think you've enough done, keep going.
Keep going. And when you have enough done, ask the family to start doing it, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the
Training
labour. Viv, flower wise, so this girl was asking me, and she says, what's the best flowers to buy to go into arrangements at Christmas time that's going to be the longest lasting and that's not going to cost a fortune? And that's sort of the $60,000 question. But
It is.
you know, what sort of flowers would you be advising to put into arrangements?
I always think at Christmas, the best way to do it is think about what can you use that will you can use one bit in your bouquets and some bits in your arrangements. So if you buy a really heavy weight of thistle, a heavy weight of a spray rose, a heavy weight of wax, all of those are going to break down. And this is when, you know, anybody who's worked in a commercial florist knows there's a bits pot on the end of every table. And this is when it comes into play. So you can take the side shoots off, use those in your arrangements and use the main stems, you know, in your bouquet. So like with your spruce, when you're cutting the sides off your spruce for your wreaths, keep the top tips. They can go in your bouquets towards Christmas. Don't waste anything.
Plus you get rid of the stem then as well, that you don't have to get rid of the branch. You know,
Yep.
it's another one. Yeah, that's great advice. What about Sue? Have you any tips on that? Like flowers for being the cut flower expert, flowers for around Christmas time that last long in obviously
Yeah.
all our houses are warm at Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, you can go for the obvious. You can go for your chrysanthemums and your carnations. The problem obviously is everybody wants red. So if you can go for a touch of red, but try and find a colour that will sort of complement it. And if you want it to look Christmassy, you don't have to fill it full of red flowers to make it Christmassy. You can make things Christmassy by putting in a little sort of gold pine cones, some glittery picks, that sort of thing. And the other thing about your Christmas foliage and flowers is don't forget to costing your foliage, because you're awash with foliage. But that bundle of spruce has cost you money, and it's very easy to sort of like bung in a bit more spruce here just to finish that off. And I'll just add a little bit of something in here. But that's often where people lose their money. They lose it because they're not pricing up their foliage. So your foliage is your spruce comes by weight. You need to sit down, work out how much you paid for it, what your markup is, what your VAT, all the rest of it, and then think, right, so this big piece, even if you label it, if you've got staff, and some people will have, who will just happily chuck as much in as they like, just say that one piece of spruce has actually cost like, you know, £6.50. So you've got to get your money's worth out of that, and be really strict on how you cost your foliage in, because that's where you can lose money.
That's great advice. And I think as well, if you have family and friends helping you out, maybe greening up, that they're not as
Generous.
conscious of the cost.
Yeah.
And I think most people think we get foliage for nothing. I know Jean does. But no, and even if you do forage, we still need to cost it in. But yeah, no, definitely. I think that's really, and that coming on that, we're talking about red. And Jean, I'm going to ask you this because this was also a question. Outside of red and green, what other colour palettes is good to use at Christmas to sort of stay away from the reds and the more expensive flowers?
Well, of course, your goals, but also the blue thistle, as you were talking about, the eryngium is fab in arrangements and it lasts long. And the blue really complements with the red, you know, and of course, white. You know, I don't stick to colours. I don't believe that you would have to stick to just reds. There's so many options there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I think it's looking at the prices of I was last year, the year before, that pink became a really big thing at Christmas. Was it fifth?
Yeah, it's 2 years ago when Barbie came out, when the Barbie
That's what
film
it
came
was.
out.
Yeah. And pink
Yeah,
was huge. And even we
yeah.
found with door wreaths and stuff like that, people were going pinks for the door wreaths. Um, okay, let me see. Sue, I'm gonna actually no,
Yeah.
Jeanette, I'm gonna ask you this. We'll throw you on the spot, seeing you're here as well.
But
Okay.
I'm
What tip would you give to elevate an arrangement from being just basic to being more luxurious or more bespoke? So to make somebody look different than every other door wreath that's out there, what sort of advice would you give them?
Well, either adding in fresh flowers, but obviously they're going to need a water source, so maybe like a water tube on the end of it. But adding some nice silk flowers, like last year, like with my own Christmas door wreath, I actually added these what I thought was fabulous silks in and out through it, and it really complemented the colour of my door, and I liked it that much. When I was revamping up the wreath, I took them all back out again, and I have them to reuse again this year. I'll probably add some new stuff into it, but I really liked the way that I did it last year. So I think that is one way of revamping them, but also making them look completely different to everybody else's.
And talking about revamping is it's also a great sales pitch, isn't it? For to sort of say to your customers, you can bring this back next year, and they probably won't. Very few. I usually put, when I take my door wreath down, I usually just take the decorations off and put it in with my Christmas decorations. And sometimes I'll use it again, sometimes I won't. But
It's supposed to be a little bit more sustainable. Now, I just want to give a call out here because when I say they're from everywhere tonight, we've Celine in Tipperary, and it was Celine is a dub who has moved to Tipperary, Jean, so that's why she's looking for the secret foraging places.
Oh, not a hope.
We've Catherine from Liverpool, Shirley from Cork, Douglas from Glasgow, Anita from the UK, Maggie from Mayo, Melissa from the Caribbean. We have Deirdre from Limerick, Michelle from London, Trish from Carlow, Irene from Dublin, Jenny from Galway, Karen from Essex in the UK. Aoife's on holidays in Wexford, she's a dub. We've Kirsty from the UK. We have Mandy from Tipperary and Melissa from Galway, and we have Susan from the USA in Raleigh, and she wants to know, Sue, about buying your books. So maybe I'll get Sue to call out her email address and we can organise that. We've Gail from Scotland and Emma from Essex. Now that was when I did the last roll call. And question wise, and maybe we'll throw this at Jean. Catherine from Liverpool is asking, how early can you moss your frames in advance? And she wants to know months or weeks.
I think people often wait too long. I think people are obsessed with waiting and waiting. I would have started. And I mean, if you're
last Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's again, I think it's the anxiety of not being organized, or knowing that you have to be organized. I mean, I would start greening arrangements now. I would start mopping. There's no reason not to. If you're getting the right foliage and you have, if you're using all soft stuff, well and good. But if you're getting the right foliage, you can start now. There's no reason not to.
Absolutely. I completely agree. If you haven't got your frames mossed now, don't bother mossing them. It's too late. Buy them in mossed or buy pre-made frames. Like they should have been mossed. We normally would say August is when you should start mossing them, but don't keep them wet because what'll happen is the real wire, if you use real wire, is inclined to go rusty on them. I prefer to let them dry out. I use like a sweep and brush handle pole. I hang them on it, like suspend the pole, and that way then I actually let them air dry. And moss is a natural sponge, so I just wet it then when I want to use it. And at the end of the day, you don't want a big wet circle resting on your door all the time. And I don't believe in using wreath wrap. Now that's my opinion on it.
Dave, what do you reckon?
Well, mine are all done. So mine are mossed, greened. They're outside on the table with horticultural fleece over them just to keep the worst of the weather off them. And no, I don't use wreath wrap either.
Yeah,
no, neither do I.
And when will you start wrapping them up or start making them up?
Well, they're made. So
they're made and all.
They're all made. Yeah, everything's done.
Foliage and everything is on them.
Because me being me, I've got 3 funerals, a wedding, an 85th birthday between Saturday and Monday. So and wreaths being collected. So they're all greened. And I will literally put the decorations on the day before people come to collect them because that's the quick bit.
Excellent. And you talked there about foliage, and that was a question that somebody asked. Beyond using the usual, the spruce and pine and stuff like that, what is the must-have foliage and what would you avoid at Christmas? Jean, I'll go back to you for that one.
Oh, you're back to me again. It depends on what I can get my hands on. I'm only joking. I think stay away from anything that's soft, and also you have to remember anything that might be smelly if you're bringing it into the house. For a lot of my students now have gardens, and because we live in the country, they forage for most of their greeneries. And like using the lights of choice here or something like that in the house, it can smell, and you're walking around trying to figure out where that smell is. So watching for that. And I think it's only trial and error as to what foliage lasts the best. Of course, I'm a big fan of ivy and the bally ivy, as we call it.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
I mean, you find a good wall of that and you're doing well.
Sue, what about you? Is there anything then going from your expert foliage advice like that to definitely avoid?
I would so I don't sell wreaths, but I do wreath workshops. So I'm looking from that sort of perspective. I would definitely, you've got to put spruce in because that's everybody expects it. Pad it out with conifer. I've got a very big conifer tree in my garden that just had a prune. Like I say, if you find something with a conifer tree, that's brilliant. A bit of variegated goes a long way, it gives a bit more interest. Ivy is brilliant. Buried ivy is great. One thing that I've stopped using in mine is holly, and the reason for my workshops I've stopped using holly is because it's expensive, it's prickly, it's awkward for my workshop attendees to work with. It makes putting decorations in uncomfortable, and because it is expensive, everybody goes for the berries, and then unless you have a huge wad of it for everybody, I've learned with workshops you've got to have enough for everybody or you don't have it at all. So I've avoided holly. If people want to bring holly in for themselves, I can show them how to put it in, but I've stopped buying holly to put into my workshop wreaths.
Yeah, great advice. Yeah. And I see there is people asking questions, and Janette will come back with the chat questions shortly. But with the wreath workshops, and I know like on our how to run a wreath workshop course, we had this section about like the grabbers and the takers and the busy bees and the wasps and this, because preparing for, because even today we were actually laughing because we were sorting out for our own wreath workshop and our corporate workshops, and the corporates don't grab because they're not paying for it, but there are the wreath workshops. They're the grabbers because they feel they've paid and they want to get as much as they can, where the corporates are sort of like, oh, will you wire my cone for me?
Yeah. I think the key, is pre-cutting your foliage.
Yes.
I pre-cut the spruce because then that automatically limits the size of the wreath that somebody can make.
Yeah.
Nothing goes in bigger than about that.
Yeah.
So that it's
great advice.
It's worth
I've
secateurs.
seen fights. I've witnessed women fighting over ivy at workshops. It is unbelievable. But what I do is if somebody takes too much, then I just casually pass their table and take it back and pass it on. Yeah, because they will.
Yeah.
Don't give them too many options.
No, too many
Everybody
options.
has the
And I
same
think even when you're selling wreaths, and I know we're talking a lot about wreaths at the moment, but we are sort of in the wreath season right now. This is really wreath time. I don't think offer too many options of choices of wreaths when you're selling them, because I just think you're opening yourself up to too much. I want a bit of that and I want a bit of that and I don't like that, and that's the one I have. Janette, what questions have you got there?
Okay, somebody asked, when would you start making your door wreaths, your grave wreaths, and they last for Christmas? Well, I would say like now, this week. But again, Deirdre, you throw it to someone there.
Viv, what do you think? Well, you've already said you've made
mine
your
are done.
wreaths.
Mine are done. Mine are always done by this point, because my customers will start collecting this weekend, but they tell me they last well into February.
And there's a question for you now, because people say, oh, will you teach me how to make grave wreaths? What is the difference between your grave wreath and your door wreath? Viv, first. I'm going to ask the three of you.
My grave wreaths tend to have the hardier things on them, so they don't have the dried fruit on them. They have the pine cones, they have the twigs, they have, the really tough stuff that will hold up outside in the weather, and then silk poinsettias or something like that. Whereas my door wreaths are much fancier, I guess is the word, so they've got pheasant feathers in and the dried fruit and things like that. And my grave wreaths tend to be smaller.
Okay, right. And okay, I'm going to ask Sue that first question, and then I'll come back to you with my other question. Go on, Sue. So your grave and door wreaths.
Well, when I was at the shop, we used to do used to do both. And yeah, I think people don't want such big wreaths, they want smaller ones. So a door wreath on a 12-inch, and or if you've got a customer that wants to spend the money, go for a 14 or a 16. A grave wreath, I would probably, you could go for an 8 or a 10-inch. That's something which I would probably put holly in, because people seem to associate that with grave wreaths. And again, you've got to put in stuff which is not going to deteriorate. So you don't want it to look like a decorative door wreath. I'd make it more formal, and I would add in artificial flowers if that's what they want, and just sort of make sure that it's something that's going to last out in all elements.
Okay, super. And Jean, what about you? What would differentiate between yours?
Yeah, for the grave ones, I tend to often put in some of the silk poinsettias, because the people love them. And I also have clients who like the buried ivy. Reason being, they say every berry is 15 calories for a bird, so they enjoy it on the graves. And yeah, you would tend to keep them that little bit smaller as well. But then I have clients who love big luxury ones for graves as well, and I'd often do a smaller round one with a candle in it. One
Yeah.
of the ones with the holder in it, and I'd sell those for graves at Christmas as well. And of course the robin, they love the robin.
And the robin, yeah.
Yeah.
I know for us, like I would put baubles and glitter and everything on our grave wreaths, because my thing is like, well, it's Christmas in heaven as well, or wherever
Yeah.
they are. They may not be in heaven, but wherever they are, it's Christmas there too. But I do think that people have more graves to visit than doors. So they usually have to buy more grave wreaths than they have to buy door wreaths. So that's where I think it's the cost element. Would you agree, Viv, that it's the
Yeah.
cost element?
Yeah, definitely. They don't expect to pay 45, £50 for a grave wreath like they will do for a door wreath.
Yeah, yeah. Janette, any questions there?
Okay, this one is for Sue. Somebody is asking about mistletoe. It's actually Aoife. How do you store mistletoe? And I wouldn't actually know the answer myself, Sue.
I would leave. First of all, I'd leave buying your mistletoe right until the last minute, and then I would just store it, somewhere cool, and somewhere where you're not going to get. If you've got a chiller or a walk-in fridge, that can be too cold for it. You get the sort of blast of cold air, because what you really want to keep the berries on it, don't you? Because mistletoe without berries is not really a thing. So it's keeping it somewhere cool, a little bit damp. I'd mist it occasionally. I've actually cut it and put it into buckets and vases, but just be careful handling it, because you handle it too much and you're going to squash the berries. But yeah, leave it till the last minute, somewhere nice and cool, out of direct heat sources, out of cold blasts, and then sort of, if you can hang it up so it's not going to get knocked, that's even better.
And just when you're
Brilliant.
hanging it, Sue, would you hang it in water, like in a vial, or do you just leave it dry?
No, I just hang it as it is, because if you hang it upside down, the your sort of the moisture that's inside the stem is automatically going to sort of run down towards the leaves and the berries anyway.
Okay, super. Janette, anything else there?
Okay, Catherine is asking, would you use hemlock? That's a foliage. Irish Green Guys has it. I would say yes. I actually have included it in a lot of the Christmas program classes that we did. So maybe Jean, do you use hemlock, or
Yeah,
can you forage hemlock?
I'm not giving any of my secrets away. Yeah, I would use it, but I mean, I get excited about foliage, so it's easy to excite me. So yeah, I would definitely use it. Yeah.
Brilliant. And Catherine Fagan, this question is for Viv. He wants to know, what greenery have you used in your wreaths that you've made so far? And then Catherine is also asking a question to Viv. She wants to know, no, sorry, it's Irene asking Viv, how do you store your wreaths? Have you got a cold room? So Viv.
Have I got a cold room? I'm nowhere near that posh. I work in a cupboard. My wreaths are outside, actually, on the patio table, and they've just got a bit of horticultural fleece over the top if it's a really cold night. But that's mainly because I use a lot of myrtle, so there's berries in it, so they need a little bit of protection when it freezes. As to what foliage I've used this year, I've used Cryptomeria, which is one of my favourites, and it comes in all sorts of different varieties. Some of them look like seaweed. It's a bit alien looking, Cryptomeria, so it always gets people guessing as to what it is. Blue spruce, Nordman, bay, all sorts of different types of leyland thanks to the tree surgeon. A little bit of eucalyptus, but I'm not eucalyptus heavy in my wreaths because it's the first thing to dry out. So it's kind of, if I've got side stems that I've cut off a main bit, they'll go in because I won't waste them. What else has gone in there? Blue Cupressus is in there because you get the nice cones as well. My bay tree's had a good haircut, so that's gone in there. There's a bit of rosemary in there because next door cut their rosemary tree down. But if you're in the geek group, in the file section, there is actually a list of foliages that you can use, and I've split it out into what's good and hardy and what's expensive, so that you can then make the call between how much you want to spend on the foliages you use.
Oh, that's
That's
great advice.
excellent. Catherine Fagan is saying a lot of her customers like bling in their wreaths. So again, we find the same. A lot of our customers, clients actually like bling on their wreaths as well. Ashling is asking about table arrangements. So first of all, what types of greenery would people use in their greenery, in their table arrangements and candle arrangements? Now, I would say very similar probably to what Viv has already mentioned there, but probably that's covered in that list. But I think our main question is, when would you offer them for sale? So when would you offer your candle arrangements for sale? So maybe Jean, do you want to go for that one?
I suppose you'd probably hold out till from the 10th of December on. But then I would say to people, you know, if they want to collect them earlier, just keep them somewhere cool, keep them in a garage or somewhere cool like that. But like table arrangements are nearly your last sellers, aren't they? You get all the wheat sold first and all the rest. But no, definitely. And I love in the table arrangements, like you were saying, to add some rosemary and to add some bay, you know, bring that kind of into your table arrangements, and it's lovely as well.
Brilliant. Now, Joan is asking, how many accessories would you add to an arrangement so that it doesn't look messy? Now, I suppose at the end of the day, that depends on the style of the florist, but also the style that the customer is looking for. Because I know myself in our experience that there's customers looking for the kitchen sink to be in the arrangement, and there's florists who put the kitchen sink into the arrangement. And then there's also florists that make things like very natural and, you know, I mean, I'm going to say a little bit skimpier, but they still look amazing. And there is clients out there, and that's the style that they're looking for. So I'm going to throw that over to Sue. What would be your opinion about accessories adding to arrangements that it doesn't look messy?
For me, again, it's entirely up to what the customer wants, and if the customer wants to put flashing musical lights in it, then that's absolutely fine. I mean, when I do my wreath workshops, I actually hate to see pictures of wreath workshops where everybody is holding up a wreath and they're all identical, because you know they've been to a workshop where somebody's gone, you put a cone there, you put a bow there, and the bow is red and this is your red ribbon, and you put an orange slice there. What I like to do with mine is say to people, you can go as blingy or as natural as you like. So if you want to do a wreath in the workshop that just has a raffia bow and some cones and some cinnamon sticks and a couple of orange slices, that's fine. If you want to put in a whole sort of basket of baubles and have bits dangling off the edge of it, if that makes you happy, carry on. So I like to have I'll have my sort of core stuff, my cones, fruit slices, cinnamon sticks, which I'll give to everybody, and then I have a selection of baubles and ribbons and bows and accessories which I get in the sales or charity shops, and people often have little bags for like 50 pence. Like people offload their old decorations, I buy them, you spread them out, and people think you're the Christmas fairy, you know, they think you're wonderful. And they may not use any of it, but they think, I love that because I could have done this and I could have done that. And if they just get a couple of things, I think that's made my wreath, and my wreath doesn't look like anybody else's. So I think whatever bling people want, I think if you're selling them, I think you just need to bear in mind your core principles about how you arrange things so that it looks pleasing to the eye, and don't try and shove too much stuff in. Whatever you do put in, make sure you've costed it.
And I was going to say that the cost is probably the most important thing. Is how much are they going to pay, you know, and that you know that you have costed it out correctly. Have you more questions, Jeanette?
Somebody's asking, would you use viburnum? So definitely, and again, you have that lovely red berry on it, so I would definitely say yeah. We have a question, what is the geek group? So maybe Viv, you might give a quick description about the geek group.
So the Floristry Geek is a Facebook group. I am the Floristry Geek, thanks to your sister, who suggested the name after a run-in with an American florist, who wanted to take me to court. So it became the Floristry Geek, and it's a group for professional florists and florists in training, and it's predominantly about education and the industry that we work in, and yeah, good friendships and a bit of fun as well.
It's an amazing group, and I would recommend anybody who is a florist or a florist in training, definitely, there's no bullshit in that group, I have to say. There is some groups out there and there's a bit of a hierarchy, and they don't like to see new people coming on board, and you know what I mean, they can knock or literally tear you asunder, where you find in Viv's group that doesn't happen. Now, there's a question here that it could take up a whole hour, so we're going to keep it and I'm going to throw this question at everybody. So Melissa actually rang me today, or texted me today, and she was asking about doing a Christmas workshop, and the people who she's doing it for, they're providing the premises, and that's because experience. The recording is back on. So I can't really answer your question, Melissa, because first of all, I would have a minimum. I'm like, if you were to say to me, well, Janette, how much would you charge me for the hour? I would say €75 an hour is my rate that I'm going to charge you. And people could maybe charge more than that, but I'm not going to do 1 hour. Like, I'll probably want a minimum of 4 hours work, whether I work 4 hours or I don't work 4 hours. So that would be my fee, and that's what I would charge. But there's maybe people who will work a lot less and a lot more. So I'm going to throw to Jean if you want to maybe give your view on it.
So you're saying that they're going to provide everything and that you just come along then and do the workshop?
Yeah, but you know yourself, that doesn't happen.
I'd probably say no.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I would have to be in control of what I have. I have a big workshop now on Sunday, and I've one list in one room and another list, and I'm rethinking what I need. I couldn't put that in somebody else's hands. I'd have to.
I would be exactly the same. Like, we have one ourselves on Saturday with 60 people, and like, I literally have everything down to the tea bag, down to the mulled wine, down to the mince pie. I have everything organized. I am both myself and Deirdre are in control of what's going to happen, all the staff that we have, what the staff are wearing, what we're going to wear. We are in control of it. I couldn't turn up to something like that. And
I mean, I have 31 on Sunday, and I do it on my own, but I'm hoping one of my children to help. But like, I would have 2 van loads of foliage.
Yeah.
And like, I could not have somebody say they'll get the foliage. It just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah,
like
I would feel
I will
the
have
same.
lists for each thing. Now, I don't know what I'm wearing, so now I feel unprepared.
Well, we bought our clothes last year. We're in the glitter. Viv,
I suppose,
again,
guys, it's the same. It'd be like somebody saying to you, I'm getting married, I'm going to buy all the flowers, and I want you to come and do the wedding flowers. How much are you going to charge me?
Yeah.
It's not. I think you're opening a can of worms to lead you. What do you think, Sue? You also are doing workshops.
I agree. I mean, I think 2 things very important. One is, every florist, you should work out what your hourly rate is. I can't comment on what your hourly. No florist can say to another florist, this should be your hourly rate, because it depends on your experience. It depends on if you're working for yourself, if you've got overheads, whatever. You must have an hourly rate. You need to charge for your prep time there and after and during, because they are paying for your skill. But I would be very reluctant to do it, because the people at the workshop are going to blame you if it doesn't work. You can stand there and go, I didn't buy the stuff, somebody else did, but they're going to say, I went to it and this woman stood there, and at the end of it, she didn't have enough stuff, and I went home and it was half done and I wasn't happy. That might not be the case. They might have a wonderful time. You might have loads of stuff, but whatever's gone on in the background, the person who's attending the workshop is looking at you to be that person who will guide them and send them home with the most beautiful drawings they've ever had in their entire life. And it doesn't matter what the background is. So you need to be absolutely sure that you've got enough stuff to do what you need to do.
Yeah, great advice. Okay, I have you any more, Janette?
Well, I just see Catherine Fagan has said,
Go on.
do you charge an hourly rate on top of charging? That was a different situation, Catherine. And I know, Catherine, you've done my Christmas run your own workshop. Stick to that. What Melissa's suggestion, as you can see there, all the tutors are saying, no, don't get involved. Don't get involved in doing that. And Jenny and Kirsty have both said that they actually have our Christmas, how to run your own Christmas workshop. And they both said, think it's brilliant. And the other one, it's absolutely amazing. So at the end of the day, if you've never ran a Christmas workshop in your life, go and do a course on it, or go and work at somebody else's and learn how to do it and realise the amount of work that's involved. So, Catherine, there is no answer there, because I'd say no. Somebody says, do you charge people for charity demos? That's completely up to yourself what you want to do. Some I do and some I don't. But at the end of the day, I have to make, you know what I mean? There's only so much charity things that you can do. So that's
already
all
today
the
I've had
I have.
three emails today to do charity demos and stuff like that, and it's all very well, but it's time, it's prep time, it's time there, and it's the cost of your materials as well. And some of them, we have a couple that we do every year, and they pay for the products. We give our time for nothing, but they pay for the materials and they raffle them off at the end of it. So for the charity events, and so I think that is a personal thing, but you do have to, at this time of the year, everyone is begging for stuff. Everyone is looking for a raffle prize. Everyone's looking for donations. Do what you can, but don't put yourself under pressure that you have to do something. That would be my opinion. This was from Leanne, and she says this is her third Christmas, right? She's not on the call tonight. She said for the last 2 years, she has sold out of everything by around the 15th of December. And she says last year she bought more and she still sold out. So she says, when do you know enough is enough, or when do you stop, or how do you know what she should go up more by for this year? She says she started feeling a bit overwhelmed as to, she knows she bought last year, she sold out. She knows she bought the year before, she sold out. Anyone with advice?
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because each year's different. I mean, I've had 40 Christmases in the industry now, and every single one of them's been different. So if you're lucky and you've got a good wholesaler and you've got a good relationship with that wholesaler, you can order little and often. And that's the way I do it, because I close between Christmas and New Year, so I don't want to get left with loads of stock behind. So my advice is, if you can do little and often, they don't mind coming out. You're paying the transport. I mean, I think for me it's £3.50, so it's neither here nor there. But they're coming out to me because I'm paying them to do so, and they don't mind if they come every day, which has happened before now. And they know that that's the lie of the land around Christmas. All florists are like that. So I look at mine and I up it by 20% for the next year if I've had a really busy Christmas the one before. And if that 20% isn't enough, then that's when I revert to buying little and often, or buying things that I know I can put away and use again next year, because then that doesn't matter.
Great advice. Okay, this is somebody now that I'd say they're going to have sore fingers. This one, I've been asked to. Oh no, this one. I have an order for 150 wreaths for a corporate gift presents. She's buying in the ready-made bases, and she wants to know, could she just glue on the cones and the baubles and stuff rather than wire them?
I glue everything.
Yeah.
She
We
hasn't
have
got
done
enough
that
hours in the
too.
day to wire that lot, has she? Let's be honest. So get
Yeah.
your hot glue gun out. Yeah.
Yeah, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, absolutely. Good hot glue gun. But just make
Supermarkets
sure
do
it's
it.
Florist glue in the hot glue gun.
Yeah.
If you've bought your glue gun in Lidl or Aldi, it's not Florist glue that's in it, and it won't stick to the foliage. So get your Florist glue. Jean, I'm going to ask you this one. I've been asked to decorate 3 mantelpieces in a house. The cost is low because it's mostly foliage and fruits and cones. How would she calculate the costs?
Well, first of all, mostly foliage. Foliage is either expensive or you have to spend your time getting it. So, I mean, I think that's like saying, can I just have a bouquet of foliage? I mean, I remember not so long ago getting soft ruscas and lysianthus, and they were the same price. So, I mean, she's going to have to cost it up the very same way she would as if it's flowers, breaking down the cost of all her foliage. And if it's not just anything, it's just pine cones, and it's still the same job. You know, she's
Yeah.
just going to break it down the way she'd do any other arrangement. But like, I think Sue was the one who said it there earlier, the amount of florists who can just keep adding greenery into bouquets and things, and they don't look at the cost of your foliage alone on your flower bill. If you're not costing that the same way, you're wasting your time.
Yeah,
You know.
100%. 100%. It's so important. Okay, that's that one. Janette, have you any questions there?
Yeah, so Karen is asking tips for Christmas fairs. So I presume Christmas fair stalls. I presume she means like markets, like what we would call a market maybe here in Ireland. So basically anyone taking, and that's a question we've been asked quite a lot actually lately about tips for doing like having a stall at a Christmas market, I presume.
So as
I-
you
And just
girls know, I worked on the market for 9 years. So I've
Okay.
got quite a lot of insight into this one. So
Eva, would you go on?
my advice is, depending on when the stall is, if you're 2 weeks into December, there's no point taking Christmas wreaths. Everybody's bought them. If you're in November, go Christmas wreath heavy. If you're further in, then you need to take examples of your table arrangements and then take your order pad so that you can that people can order to either collect or have them delivered. But little grab and go things, people don't spend a lot of money on market. So you need to be looking at paper whites, hyacinths in pots, those kind of things that make nice, small, easy gifts if you're going out for, you know, coffee and a mince pie somewhere and you want to take something little with you. Christmas decorations always go well. And things that people can use to put on their own wreath. So dried oranges, those kind of things in bags, they always work really well. And bunches of foliage go amazingly well with a few glitter twigs in and a pine cone. They always go well, but don't expect to make major money because it's actually volume sales that you'll get on the market, not big sales.
Great tips there.
Yeah, great tips. Jean or Sue, have you any other tips to add to that?
I would just say whatever you do, make sure what you're selling is transportable. It's easy to think, oh, I'll make little jam jars of flowers and put ribbons around them and put little pretty Christmassy stuff in it. But if people are in a market and they're walking around, not everybody or most people are going to look at that and think, I actually don't know how to carry that.
Yeah.
So I think Viv's ideas are brilliant. Go for plants, go for dry stuff. Don't expect people to sort of walk around with water in a bag somewhere, because then they're not going to do that, because that's too hazardous. So yeah, go for stuff that they could pop in a bag and then they can keep going around and drink the mulled wine without worrying about stuff spilling or tipping over.
Yeah, great advice. Jean, have you any?
I've never
add?
done a market. Never done a market.
Yeah.
So.
Never lived, girl.
Yeah. It's still time.
I think you're happy to miss out on that one, are
Yeah.
you, Jean?
My tip is the thermal knickers. 3 pairs of them.
My tip would be is to do research the market. And actually, only this week, a massive market opened in Dublin. It is in the RDS in Dublin. It has got a lot of PR that has been really, really poor. And that basically half the stalls are empty. The only thing for sale is your sweets and your cakes and your hot chocolates or whatever. It's all tack. It's the same tack as everywhere else. So it's getting really, because I was actually going to go to it, but it's getting really bad press. I think you really need to research your market. Is it being advertised? Who else? Is there another florist at the market selling similar to what you're selling? Who else is at the market? What's the footfall going to be like? And obviously the weather is going to play a huge part if it's outdoors, you know, whether you'll get footfall or not. And at the end of the day, actually, Aoife, you're on. Are you
Eva's
still on the
just
call?
gone, Deirdre. She
Is
actually
she?
put a message up there just to say she was gone.
Because
But-
Aoife does a market every week. But again, that's because she's there every Saturday. They know now for the last year that she's there every Saturday, and she has built up a clientele of people knowing that she's there. But it's still tough going for her. It is still tough going. Sometimes I think instead of investing in a market, invest in a few ads on Facebook or Instagram and target people that are in your area for it. And just before I have a few more quick fire questions for our
And I
ladies.
have a few more as well.
Have you? Okay, but just before you do, I just want to remind everybody that next Monday night, Tim Huckabee. So he is have you had encounters with Tim, Viv?
I have had training from Tim, years ago. Yeah, years and
Yes,
years ago,
yeah. So is
actually.
Jeanette. What about you, Sue?
Yeah, I've come across him at various points. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's very dynamic, isn't he?
Yeah.
yeah. Jean, have you had any training with
No,
him, or
I
have you
haven't
had
met
any?
him. No, no.
Okay, so he has offered to do a free workshop with us next Monday night. Now, I had planned that was going to be our last workshop, but he came up with this. He says it's going to be 20 to 25-minute masterclass with questions and answers at the end. And when I send out the replay of this, I'll send the link to his one for to sign up if anybody that wants to sign up. But he's all about sales and not just selling, but upselling. He's very much about if they're going to spend €50, you will get another tenner off them. If they're going to spend €100, you will get €20 extra off them, be it in a candle or be it in something. And he's very much about, which we would sort of cover on our module too. Don't say how much do you want to spend. You sort of say our most popular bouquet is the €100 bouquet, but we do have cheaper ones. So you're saying that they're cheaper. So yeah, just that I'm just reminding you about that for next Monday night. So we're back here. We've been here Monday night the last 3 or 4 weeks at this stage. And Jeanette, go on with your questions there.
Chris is saying every man and dog is doing a Christmas workshop in the UK. Massive competition and bookings are down. Now, I would say there, Chris, I would agree with you to a certain extent. I would say the sales are down on selling wreaths, but I would say the sales are up on the workshops. People definitely want the experience. People want to make their own Christmas workshop. And I would nearly prefer, rather than me next Saturday getting in and making 60 door wreaths, is to have a workshop and let 60 people make all their own door wreaths and probably make more money on the door wreath than I would if I was after making it myself. But again, pass the question on there, Deirdre.
Okay, so Jean, what do you think?
What is the question exactly? To
Well,
whether that there are
he's
too
more or less,
many
I
workshops?
suppose, not giving out, but kind of saying that he's finding his workshop bookings are down, massive competition because every man, dog, and woman is doing a Christmas workshop this year. But I think all the florists have copped on. All the florists that used to be given out a few years ago, people teaching people how to do their own Christmas wreaths, and they're all bitching about it. And all the feckers are all doing them themselves this year
Yeah.
and last year, So,
I think definitely the workshops are a great idea. I love doing them anyway, but
yeah.
it's a very different way of teaching. Like when I'm teaching through the ETB, you're with the workshops, people are there for the fun.
Yeah.
And I remember stressing myself out and making sure that all of their wreaths were beautiful and helping them and helping everybody. And then one day I went to this lady and she said to me, it was brutal. And she said to me, I just love it. And I thought to myself, who am I to move the things? And when she was happy, and it was the best learning curve I ever went. So now what I say to them is, are you happy with that? And they say, I love it. And then other than that, I was killing myself. I was fixing everybody's, and that's not the way it should be. As Sue said, if somebody wants to add baubles, if somebody doesn't want to add baubles, they have the option to do it.
Yeah.
But no, I have one woman who comes every year and she said, when I go home now, I'll tell my husband he's not allowed to park at the front door so that everybody can
People
see
can
the
see
door.
the wreath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people go
Love
away
it.
with such a sense of satisfaction,
Yeah.
So,
Sue, what advice would you hang on a second? Sorry, Jeanette, Sue, what advice would you give Chris to try and up his workshops sales?
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, I do workshops, and I have the same people that come back year after year. It's like for them, it's the start of their Christmas thing. I think I wouldn't worry about what other people are doing. This is my general advice anyway. When people sort of on Facebook groups go, oh, another florist has opened up and they're doing this and it's half price, and I said, well, just let them get on with it. Worry about what you're doing. So if you've got people that come to you, make it the best experience, because what you might find is the people who are all offering this year may not do it again, because I had some people last year who came to mine who are coming back this year who the previous year had gone to somebody else, and they were really disappointed because they paid a lot more money, quite a lot of money actually, to be in somebody's kitchen, and there were too many people, there wasn't enough room, and the food, they promised food and everything else, and it was disappointing. So I think experience and knowing what you're doing will always win over people who think there's not much to it. And I think you've just got to plow your own furrow and just go for it.
Absolutely. Okay, Jeanette, next question up.
And like following on from Sue there, Deirdre, we would had an experience where we've been doing workshops for the Radisson Hotel for years and years and years. And then it came there a couple of years, we weren't able to do them. We were just too busy and I passed it on, the work. And they came back to me after a year or two and were saying, oh my God, Jeanette, the clients all want to know, is Deirdre and Jeanette coming back? Because we got on great with them. And again, it wasn't just a workshop. They just loved the crack and the fun that they had with us. And like this year now, they're actually paying us to go to Galway to run the Christmas workshop down there in the Radisson Hotel, as well as the Radisson Dublin. Do you know that way? So again, it's the experience. It's not necessarily what the wreath looks like. And the same thing, like what you said, Sue, there, we always make up a little bag and there would be everything in it, the slices, the cinnamon sticks, the cones, the lotus heads, a bit of bling, the poinsettia heads, everything. And they get more than enough. They get too much, you know the way. But it means like nobody will go from a workshop for me and say, oh, she was mean or she was skimpy or there wasn't enough. And I still always have a bag of extra stuff. The last question so far, Deirdre, is actually somebody's asked about wreaths for markets, question mark. I presume you're asking about what kind of wreaths. But I can't pronounce the name. Gulam Aisha wants to know, is there a course to run a workshop? So I'm going to answer that. So yes, Case Flower School actually has a floristry program, how to run your own workshop. But obviously it's not for a beginner.
It's how to run a hobby workshop.
Yeah, it is a hobby workshop, yeah. It's obviously not for the beginner who doesn't know how to do a Christmas wreath themselves, okay? It is obviously for a more experienced person, but it does cover the business, the theory, and the practical. And every question that people would ask about running Christmas workshops is all actually covered on it. Drop us an email, info@caseflowerschool.com. There's a little
we might as well get a bit of a plug in. Okay.
Back to you, Deirdre.
Right, these are our quick fire rounds. What are we, 3 minutes late? I actually think we're doing really well on time.
I think we're doing brilliant.
Viv, what is your biggest mistake at Christmas that you've made?
Saying yes to do too many things.
Okay.
Not knowing when to stop, which we all know is a personality flaw of mine anyway.
Yeah.
But I am determined this Christmas not to spend the time between Christmas and New Year totally knackered, grumpy and burnt out. So I am drawing a line under the amount of orders I'm taking, because I think you can work yourself into the ground at Christmas because it's a busy peak. I think it's the hardest because it goes on for longest.
Yeah. Great advice. Sue, what is the one thing that you cannot manage without, be it an item, a tool at Christmas time? What's the one thing or a service that you can't manage without?
What for me, I can't really answer that question because I'm not in a shop anymore. But I mean, personally, I for me, lovely foliage and I think good quality stuff is important because everything has to last. And my other little point I wanted to make, somebody who was worried about sort of selling out or buying too much, buying too little. When you get right up to Christmas Eve and like the day before Christmas Eve, you've got people who will buy anything really. That's when you need your plants. Lots of lovely plants, and just stick your Christmas bling in your plants. And then whatever other plants you don't sell, you just take your Christmas bling out, and then you've got New Year, and your plants will last over the Christmas New Year as your flowers may not. So if you're worried about not buying enough, if you want to buy more stuff, buy more plants.
That's a great advice. Was it Leanne that had asked me about what to increase on each year? That's actually really is top up on plants. Jean, what will you never do again at Christmas that you've done in the past?
A Christmas wedding.
I knew that would be your answer.
Did you? Have I made it clear before? I'm allergic. I think it's the worry, the stress of them. No, I have weddings next weekend, but as for after that, no. I can't.
Yeah.
The worry of, there was one year was the boat going to get here because of the snow. I did a wedding on the 1st of January one year and spent New Year's Eve making corsages at the table on my own. So no, they're too stressful for me.
Yeah, I do think you have to make the decision. But there is weddings out there for florists that do want to work at Christmas, and they can be lucrative if you do want to work at that time of the year. Absolutely. But you definitely need to have a plan in place.
Yeah.
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 Okay, has anybody else any other questions or feedback? Is there anything that you sort of thought we'd cover that we didn't cover, or anything that you want to ask the ladies themselves
Deirdre, if you try
or
and get a
us?
group photo, because I'm only on the mobile.
Okay, yeah. So if anyone that can turn on their camera, if you want to, there's no pressure to turn on the camera. That's absolutely fine. But we would love to get a quick pic of everybody. So I'm just going to close down this thing that I can bring this up, make my screen a bit bigger. That's better. I don't think I have everybody in it because there's 60 odd people on it and I have 3 pages. So I'm going to have to do it in 3, okay?
Okay.
Right,
So
he's
smile
ready?
for 3 minutes.
Smile.
Wave.
Okay, hang on, let's go on to the next one. Oh, but there's nobody with their cameras on in that. Oh, there's 1 or 2. Okay, smile. Even if you haven't got your camera on, smile. And the last one. Brilliant. Super. Guys, I've really enjoyed it. I can't see the chat. Janette, have you anything there that's...
Well, just one girl says she has a wedding in for the 29th of December. So fair play to you. Deirdre what date did you get married on, Deirdre? The 30th
of December.
Yeah.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
How
I
very
waited till
dare
I
you.
waited till the
But,
5th of January.
Jean, all of mine was artificial. All my flowers, my bouquets were artificial. My mother wouldn't make me fresh flowers. And my wedding bouquets, bridesmaids bouquets were artificial. And they done the church up for Christmas.
The
So we
church
didn't
was
have
done.
to do the church up.
Yeah, that's handy. That's handy.
So that's how I
And
got away
Chris
with
said,
it.
thanks a million for the advice about the workshops, took it on board. And millions of people are saying thank you. They really enjoyed this class here tonight.
Okay, well, listen, thanks a million to everybody. I know, Sue, you were a little bit late coming, so I didn't
Yeah,
get to introduce you to
apologies for
Jean.
that.
That's not
Yes.
at all. There was traffic on the motorway.
Don't forget
I
about
didn't
the
get to
books,
introduce
Deirdre.
you to
Somebody
Jean.
wants Sue's books.
Yeah, so again, in the email that's going out, I'm going to put in the link to the Floristry Geek page. I'm going to put in the link to Sue's books as well. If you don't have Sue's books, get it on your Santee list because they're a great resource to have. There, she has them there, the
I
picture.
use them in my class, Sue. I use
Yeah.
them in both my retail floristry and I use them in my floriculture, your plant book as well. So it's
Oh,
lovely
thank
to
you
meet
very
you.
much.
There,
Thank you very
there
much.
you go.
And Deirdre,
They're a
you need the
Bible.
Google pin for the foraging in Tipperary.
Not a hope. Not a hope. But one of these days I'll fall up the mountain and so I have my Snapchat maps on for the kids just for that in case.
Just for that reason. Just for that reason. Okay, listen, guys, thanks a million. I really enjoyed tonight. And we will love yous and leave yous. And don't forget, next Monday night, if you're interested in upping your selling or adding to your sales, I actually haven't heard him. I've done a podcast with him, but I haven't heard him in action in real life. Janette obviously has. Viv,
I
you
have.
as
I
well.
did a course with him 15 years ago and I still quote him. And I'm dying to see what he has learned more in the last 15 years because I thought he was brilliant and amazing back then.
Okay, right. We love you and leave you. See you all again. Jean, thanks a million. Sue,
Thank you.
Viv,
Yeah,
thank you
thanks
so much for
everybody.
tonight.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.